Welcome. This is a very brief introduction to the first movement of Blue Pearl, and that movement is Requiem Nunc, which means peace now or rest now. So the whole piece opens very much sounding like a classical requiem. It actually sounds a bit like Fauré's Requiem. That's quite deliberate, to set off with one foot in the traditional classical world, the world of the Requiem masses. The text is Requiem Aeternam, and if you know those masses, then you expect it to go on Dona eis Domine, Lord, grant them eternal rest. So it's appealing to God to grant rest, peace to those that have died. But the text changes here, and instead it says Requiem Aeternam hic et nunc, here and now. So immediately after just a few bars, the text diverts away from the traditional Requiem Mass to say that this piece is about peace here and now, in this moment, in every moment. The text for the rest of this movement is very dense, and it's a summary of a non-dual understanding of spirituality, an integral non-dual spirituality. And in very brief, that's saying that rather than eternity being what we hope for after we die, that it's some peaceful, very, very long, unimaginably long time, that actually eternity is now. It's every moment. And that actually all time is present in the present moment. As this talked about in T.S. Eliot's often quoted section from the Burnt Norton poem. The past is basically memories, which are thoughts, which we experience now. And the future are thoughts of imagined events, but those thoughts also happen now. So the past and the future, which we think of as this sort of line, past, present, future, they're actually all present. All we ever experience is the present moment. It's very simple in a way, but a very profound understanding. Eternity is now, and then later on the text goes on to talk about the fact that there is no I separate from experience. So you can't find a hearer separate from hearing. You can't find a seer separate from seeing. You can't find a thinker separate from thinking. You can't find a knower separate from knowing. So this is a non-dual understanding, a non-dual spiritual understanding, that we can do experiments, skillful experiments, to look for look for who am I? That's the fundamental spiritual question. And when we look carefully and objectively, so to speak, we can't find an I separate from experience. There is just this, just experience. I meant to say at the beginning, there's going to be a longer video about this movement, and there'll be more videos about the spirituality that Blue Pearl is conveying. The following movements that come after this, Evolution 5 and Anamnesis, they go on to set out this understanding that the cosmos has evolved through ever greater levels of consciousness, to the point where the cosmos, we humans are the cosmos, aware of itself, conscious of itself, and conscious of itself being conscious. We are aware of being aware. In terms of the music in this movement, the first motif in the strings, la da dee da 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 da, is the tune from the Potter, which ends the whole oratorio, set into a minor key and slowed down and shifted by one beat. So the Potter is da da dum da 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 ba ba bum, and this is da da dee da 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 dum. So the beginning and end are linked. As in T.S. Eliot's poem again, in the end, we find ourselves exactly where we started, but seeing the place for the first time. Then we hear contrary motion scales, which come throughout the piece, and they are a musical, symbolic representation of non-duality. So the symmetrical scales, one descending and one ascending, and they meet. And that represents transcendence and immanence being one. So spirituality is not about escaping from the earth, escaping physical reality with all its suffering, nor is spirituality just the earth and physical matter and biology. Spirituality is transcendence experienced here and now. In other words, the synthesis of transcendence and immanence. That's a musical representation of that. And then we hear a rhythm on the cymbal, very quietly, dun dun, da dun dun. And we'll find out what that represents when we get to the death movement. Okay, so we hear a fugue using the same theme, da da dum, da 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 dee, which is talks about time. And then suddenly the music switches gear and goes into big band jazz, which is a shock. That wasn't planned when I wrote the piece. It just suddenly popped into my mind and made me laugh. It's supposed to be a bit funny, I think. It's certainly a bit of a shock. And the tenor has a solo talking about time and eternity, the past and the future all being present moments. And then there's a fugue comes back, but in a jazzy feel. And then there's an a cappella section where the choir sings about the seer can't see itself, this non-dual understanding, and also that this integral non-dual spirituality is a path with no creed and no dogma. It's experiments to try. So that's what Ken Wilber refers to as broad science, and I won't go into that now, but it's just the idea that when we explore in meditation or contemplative prayer, we explore the experience of self and of the mind. That is actually scientific exploration, because we can compare what we find with the thousands and thousands of other people that have done the same experiment. And then the movement ends with a recap of the Requiem Aeternam, Hic et Nunc, here and now. So I was trying to do that in 2 minutes, but actually it's taken 8 minutes. So there's actually quite a lot in that first movement. If you've got any questions about it, please get in touch, steve@stevebanks.info. You can listen to the whole piece, a demo recording, at stevebanks.info. And there'll be other videos talking about all the other movements to follow this one. Thank you.